Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. A couple of weeks ago, I was contacted by OneCarStereo about an instrument cluster that they have that sits behind the steering wheel for Model 3s and Model Ys that don't, of course, have instrument clusters built in. I had been looking into these for quite a while and I was like, maybe I should do it, maybe I shouldn't. But when they suggested that I could review it for them, I was super interested. So I said, yes, please do send it. Now, of course, just to be very clear, they sent it to me for free for a review. I don't have to return it. And if you look in the description, there's a link where you can save 30% off the price of the instrument cluster, which is huge. And the channel gets a small financial reward for that as well. So I just want to be clear about all of that. My opinions are all completely my own, but I wanted to be very clear that I received this for free and I don't have to return it. So anyway, I just wanted to set that aside. I'm going to do an unboxing. I'm going to show how to install the unit. I'll do a review of the unit and then I'll come back here and do a quick conclusion for you. I'm going to unbox it here. I'm going to do some installation, which requires some light surgery. In order to do it, you have to remove like the panel over the top and I think a thing under the glove box as well. What this gives you, of course, is an instrument gauge cluster so you can see the speed you're going and a map and all of that stuff directly in front of you. You can also get wireless Apple CarPlay, which is awesome. I will be using that with my iPhone that my son Hayden is recording me with. So it's giving me the thumbs up. And you can also do wired Android Auto. It also has an internal speaker, but it can connect to the Bluetooth in the main car body and everything. I'm going to go ahead and do the initial unboxing. Very exciting. I actually got this like 2 weeks ago, but I was traveling and was unable to, open it up and install it right away. So I'm like super excited. I've been waiting until I had a day to go ahead and do it. And let's make that as dangerous as possible. Opening this thing up. Oh, nice. Well, we start off with a very nice gray and green cloth. That looks like green screen stuff. I bet you could make me disappear if you wanted. And here is the instrument cluster. You can see it's a relatively large size instrument cluster. OneCarStereo. Yeah, so it's just Model 3 and Model Y, just FYI. And it fits through the, there's like a grating where the air conditioning kind of comes out and it fits in there. So anyway, you can see the packaging. Let us take a look here. Oh, that's very nice. All right, very elegant. Let's see what we got. We got an instruction book. That I will definitely be reading because I will want to make sure I install this thing properly. And, all right, oh cool. Oh, I was just thinking I needed this because you are gonna have to remove some paneling and stuff like that since it's a plastic tool, like basically. It's a mini crowbar in plastic, but that'll keep you from potentially scratching anything, so that'll be really nice. It also comes with a bunch of wiring plugs to plug this into the car system. And, oh yeah, here's the pièce de résistance. We've got the actual display. So very nice big widescreen display. You can see from the side that it's a color match to the vehicle itself. And from what I've seen from photographs, it actually integrates really nicely. It fits right in, so it doesn't look ugly or anything. I honestly wouldn't even have accepted this. They wrote me and they said, hey, are you interested in reviewing this and getting it? And I would have said absolutely not if it didn't fit, because of course I care about the aesthetics of the car. But this looks really good, at least from the pictures. And it basically slots down. There is this metal piece that you put in to kind of hold it in place. The wires just go through and then they plug into this harness that goes underneath the glove box, as far as I understand it, and it all fits in, and then you get this really nice big display that sits right where the steering wheel goes. So anyway, this should be really marvelous. I'm looking forward to this immensely. I'm looking forward to driving it. So what I'm going to do is do a video of installing this so you can see how to install it and whether there are any gotchas in terms of installing it. And then I'm going to drive it for a couple of days and see whether I actually find it to be beneficial and how beneficial. All right, so here's the part that's the scary part. We have to remove this wood grain panel, which means we have to pop this side thing off, and we have to do the same thing on the other side. We're then gonna disconnect the battery because you don't really wanna be messing around with all this stuff with the battery on. So we're gonna disconnect it, and there's a harness under here. So the concept of this is pretty straightforward. All of this wiring is going to go underneath this wood paneling section right here. It's going to pop up. There's holes 36 for the blue one and 39 for the red one. We'll get there when we get there. We're going to put that all through like that, and then we're going to hook the wiring harnesses and we're going to pull it out, and we're going to put the plug in this side and plug this back into where it was. So basically this is just going to bridge between the two cables that used to be there, and it's going to siphon off this little piece for the display itself. So it's all relatively cool and really awesome and everything, but and you'll notice I moved the seat like way back to get this ready because we're going to have to get underneath this eventually. So there we go. Okay, supposedly this one's a little bit easier. We will see. Anyway, so yep. All right, that one was definitely easier. Ooh, okay. All right, when it comes up, it comes up. So you just kind of have to get a little funky with it. There we go. Okay, so it may look kind of violent, but actually it's not bad at all. It came out pretty well. Of course, I've got all of these other items on the car, so I have to get it over all that stuff. Should probably put that down. Okay, so now you can see where this is going to go is these little slots. So we're going to count way over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can see this is where the steering wheel harness is. So dead center of the steering wheel. So we'll just eyeball check it when we get there, because we obviously want this to be perfect. But I believe the blue cord needs to go through 36 and the red cord needs to go through 39. All right, so as you can tell, I'm doing this outside for light's sake, and I'm going to make use of my recycling and garbage bins. Why not? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and count, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this guy out of the packaging. We're gonna count. We're gonna put this in to the slots right there. So yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so you can see 36 and 39. That looks pretty solid in there before I go and fish it all through. By the way, I'm counting. So the actual holes start like right here, but I'm counting from where the actual there's like plastic underneath these first ones, but go ahead and count from there. So anyway, I'm gonna jam these things through, get them through the holes here. You can see that we're built pretty correctly. And then we'll do a quick sanity check to make sure that it all looks correct. So I fed this through. You can see, there's like actually a thing that we're gonna screw it in to place, but you can see there's like 2 slots in between. So I did 36 here, so starting 36, 37, 38, 39, push those through. And now we're gonna take that steel plate and we're gonna put it on the bottom to hold this in place. But just real quick, this really, really matches this plastic extremely well. So it looks really good. It looks like it's intended to be there. So then once you get it in, you can see that there's little screw holes in the bottom of the display itself. We're gonna put these through. I think I've got the correct holes here. And then we're going to obviously screw it in so that this thing doesn't move around. So this is just to make sure, obviously, that these things don't go sliding around. Alrighty, so let's do a quick eyeball check here. Make sure everything's looking good still. I've still got the plastic over the screen, by the way. I'm not gonna take that off until obviously it's ready to go. But yeah, I think that looks good. So, okay, so you should be able to see this. In fact, I'll take this off so you can see a little bit. So you see these plugs here? I've pulled one out a little bit. There's 1, 2, 3. I think just 3, no 4. Yeah, there's 4. Fourth one's here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna pull those out, and then we're gonna take the bottom and we're gonna just lay it here, and then we're gonna unplug the battery. So what's going on here is this back part, not the front part by the glove box, but the back part actually pops off. And let's see if I can get the last little bit. It's kind of over here attached to the, there it is. Okay, So, all right. So now we've got this disattached, and I'm gonna get myself right side up. There's the computer, by the way. Full self-driving computer. Pretty freaking cool. Love it. Okay, so now we are going to remove. I think this one was never put back in quite solidly as I thought. Anyway, it just pops. There's just a whole bunch of plastic things that pop out of place. You don't absolutely have to do this step, but you know, it's your car's electronics. I recommend it. So we're gonna disconnect the power. Gonna go ahead and disconnect the negative, and then I'm going to disconnect this wire right here, which is just a fail-safe. Just disconnecting the battery by itself should be enough, but car's not happy. There we go. Okay. So now, I don't know if you could hear that, but everything went off when I turned this off. So there was still reserve power in the system, which is why this fail-safe is a good idea. So anyway, disconnect. All right, so I had some twine around, string, fishing line, whatever would work. I dropped the fishing line through and pulled it down at the bottom here. And then, of course, I tied it onto these cords and pulled it through. Okay, so anyway, yeah, that's the hardest part to get through. The rest of it's just a wire. So this is all going to lay across here like that and plug into that thing there. Let me see if I can get a picture of this at least.
You can just take a picture and then show where that's plugged in.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, because it's like pretty much impossible to show. All right, so that was pretty hard. It's way up under there. It was difficult. You know, there's a little button you have to push and you have to pull it out, but it's like super up inside, so it's difficult. So anyway, misinformation, good for her. She's got small fingers, and so she got it. So I've just put this back. You can see I plugged the blue into the blue and the red into the red over there. And we're going to reconnect the power supply, and hopefully the whole thing will work. Oh, worrisome. I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so yep, I just heard everything kind of kick in. So now,
it's
hopefully, it's on. That's a really good sign. So, all right, we got the dashboard. So now what we have to do is just clean up, basically. So I will, of course, give a complete review of this, but right now, so obviously you can see that we got to clean up underneath the glove box. We got to trim all of this wire and put it down, and then pop this thing all back into position. So all right, so I'm doing this in my garage. It's actually really challenging finding a good lighting condition to show just how good these displays look like in real life. So you can see here's the CarPlay version. Obviously you can do things by hand. You can go to voicemail, you can go to my Elon Musk book that I'm reading, you can go to maps if you're interested. Not so, the maps aren't as useful as this because I tend to use the Tesla maps over here. But anyway, the display is super bright, very responsive too. You can go into instrument mode so you can see over here. Interestingly enough, it has everything defaulting to kilometers an hour, but as soon as I put it, I think as soon as I put it in drive, let's see, I believe it kicks over to miles. Yeah, so now it's on miles. The trip meter here is actually super useful, and you can tell that there is a battery percentage marker, the time of day, of course, temperature, because I do have that set to centigrade on my Tesla, and then it has an odometer plus the trip meter plus a mileage indicator, plus all of the basic things, you know, all of the turn signals and seatbelt light, because I'm not wearing a seatbelt right now because I'm in the car. The charge power thing is really cool. As you drive, it kicks over and shows you whether you're getting that. Again, all replicating from stuff over here, but it's really, really nice. It looks really good, and I actually have been surprised. And like I said, you've got like a little touch screen here. You can set all the settings you're interested in. You can kick it over to CarPlay or to Android Auto, depending on what you're doing. And when you do, it's still got the basic information over here. The speed limit, the font is really, really nice here. The thing that shows how fast you're going. It's a really, really nice and crisp and thick font. Surprisingly enough, I was interested in getting this primarily because I was like, oh, it'll be really cool to have the Apple CarPlay integration, and it actually is really cool to have the Apple CarPlay integration, but the fact that I can look forward and see things like the speed that I'm traveling and some basic facts about the car is actually really, really nice. So I've been pleasantly surprised by that. A quick thing to show how to connect this up: you hit the Bluetooth here, and you get BT Tesla. The best way to do this is to make it a priority device. So what that means is that every time you get in the car, it automatically connects up to this thing first. Otherwise, it just gets really confusing and you have to kind of manually do it all the time. So anyway, this is the way that I would go about doing that. And you obviously have your priority device and you have it synced. And then when you get over here, one time, so that's one like connection, and you have to make the Bluetooth connection. And then of course you can change it in the system settings between CarPlay and Android Auto, and you can make it full screen, all that kind of stuff if you're interested. And of course, you've got access to all of the apps and everything that you have. I'm using Libby with my library to do the Elon Musk book. In order to connect it up, I can't really show this, but you have to go into your Bluetooth on your phone. Obviously, I can't show that since I'm using my phone to film it. But basically, you just connect up this thing as a Bluetooth device. It will then ask you if you want to connect the Apple CarPlay to it. You say yes. Everything works great. So it really does work well. And again, I'm trying not to get all this reflection in here, but it's a little hard to tell, but they really, really work well together. The two screens have a fairly equivalent brightness. This thing is super, super clear, really nice. I was worried about it not having enough quality and looking good, but after a week of driving this, I've actually gotten to the point where I would really, really miss this if I didn't have it. So I'm giving it a really big thumbs up from a usability standpoint, and I think it's really pretty fantastic and complements the car excellently. So very nice job. I really appreciate it, OneCarStereo. It starts right up every single time, works every single time. I don't have to worry about it at all. It just, it just works. So it's fantastic. All right, so as you can see, the installation is not completely trivial. The really, really hard part is that stupid plug that's way up underneath the glove box. If you have large hands or you're not mechanically inclined or both of those things, maybe get a friend to help you out with that. Somebody who's good at that. Misinformation, thank goodness, has small hands, and she was able to get up there and pull the plug and put the new one in. But everything worked fantastic. It was, there was no hiccups at all. We plugged the things in, off it ran, and it's been working completely solidly ever since, so there's been no problems at all. I really, really like the Apple CarPlay wireless thing. I get in the car, my phone connects to the OneCarStereo instrument cluster, that then connects to my instrument panel, and so everything's all set up. I don't have to touch anything when I get in the car. I have all of my CarPlay stuff that I can either use Siri or I can actually touch the instrument panel cluster because it's a touchscreen cluster. So all of that stuff just works, is really, really good. The two slight caveats with all of this, with the Bluetooth, is that you're Bluetoothing from your phone to the OneCarStereo to your instrument cluster and out the speakers. So there is about a 1 second delay. So if you're watching videos, again, you shouldn't be doing that while you're driving anyway, right? So if you're watching videos, it could be a problem. For music, for things like that, for telephone calls, all of that kind of stuff, it doesn't really matter at all. But also OneCarStereo does have they have speakers on the side of this little instrument panel that you could use. For example, you could connect your phone directly to your main instrument cluster on your Model Y or a Model 3, and you could use that to play music or something like that, and you could get directions from the Apple Maps on the OneCarStereo. The speakers are not real fantastic, so I wouldn't really count on them for a super high quality sound, but if you were getting like directions from that and you were getting your music or your audiobook or something like that from the other thing, you could split it up that way as well. I don't have an Android phone, but the same thing should work with the Android, except that you have to use a wired connection instead of wireless. That's the only difference. And the other small caveat is that the sound coming from the OneCarStereo over the Bluetooth is a little bit quieter than the sound that comes directly out of my phone. So it's a Bluetooth connection, and I think it's just the double Bluetooth connection makes it a little quieter. Maybe they can do a software update and kind of pump the volume a little bit like that, and they can make it a little louder. It's not really a problem. It's just I have to get much closer to maximum volume in order to hear audiobooks, specifically on the highway. You know, when you're going 75 miles an hour, there's a lot of noise around. So I can hear it just fine, but I do have to turn the volume up almost all the way. But aside from that, it works great. The screen is super, super crisp. It matches everything really well. It looks very much like it was a built-in unit or purpose-built unit. I really enjoy it. And actually, surprisingly enough, I didn't really think that I was missing being able to see the speedometer and things like that and all the information directly in front of me. But now that I have it in front of me, I would really, really miss it if I had to look to the side again. So very interesting how you think like you don't miss it until you actually get it. And then you're like, oh, okay, I actually really did want this. Again, if you're interested, definitely check out the link in the description. It's a 30% off savings, which is really huge. So you can use that and save quite a bit of money. Order the unit and hopefully install it easily and enjoy it just as much as I have. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful and helpful for all of the installation and review processes. If you did, definitely give it a like. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.